has been said that one of the biggest reasons why marriages fail is due to financial issues. That's why I'm covering the importance of being financially ready before you get married. And as you guys know, I recently got engaged. Like, what? So I wanted to share the truth of being engaged and planning a wedding that nobody really talks about. What's up guys, it's Nick. As you know, I'm a recovered shopaholic, now a money mindset coach, empowering working professionals to fund their dreams into reality. So this topic came about because I've been coaching clients lately who want to be financially prepared to have their dream wedding, to enter married life with zero financial stress. And so I wanted to share the realizations that came about during our coaching sessions. One of them is my client Tish, who had her dream wedding and entered married life fully debt-free. And also my client Liz, who recently graduated from my coaching program, now with clarity and confidence in building her savings consistently in transitioning to her married life. So they are so freaking amazing, and that also inspired me to share with you the 3 crucial questions to ask yourself to check if you are mentally and financially ready to enter getting married, okay? Because it ain't a joke, you know? So if you're all about that, then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel because I do have a new video every single week. Now let's get into the video. Number 1, are you financially secure and financially compatible? Those are 2 different things, by the way. It doesn't mean that you are financially secure that you would also be financially compatible. That's what I realized, you know. Okay, so let me explain the difference. So financially secure is you are financially secure within yourself, that you have honored your dreams, that you have prioritized the things that you've always wanted to do as a single person, or if you haven't yet, that he would also support that he or she would be able to respect that you also have those dreams that you want to pursue while you're together. That's totally okay. But the thing was, there was just this missing puzzle. There was this itch that I needed to scratch in my career as a career woman. That's why I felt like I wasn't financially secure or stable enough to really say yes to being a part of a whole. For me, when I decided to really pursue a greater purpose, to pursue what I really wanted for my career, which is the business that I'm running right now as a coach, when that became up and running and I was getting into the swing of things and I was able to build consistent income from my business, that's when I considered myself financially secure, because I was able to pursue the dreams that I've always wanted for myself, not in relation to my partner. Like, he had nothing to do with the career I wanted. I didn't really ask for his advice, really. It was more of like, I hope that you would just support me in wanting to experiment and just do the thing I've always wanted before I settle down. That's my take on how I decided that I am financially secure to then get married, and it can be different per person. And that's when I coach my clients, it's very personalized. They get to decide if they are in the place that they are financially secure and that they would be able to support each other as a couple. My take on it is that I just really wanted to make sure I was already financially independent, financially secure before getting married, before, you know, being part of someone's lives, like no backing out. You know, that for me prevents you to having financial stress or having problems once you're already married. Now, financially compatible. For me, this one is really, really big. Do you share the same values when it comes to money? Do you share the same habits when it comes to money? Because here's what I really come to accept, okay, is that when you get engaged or when you decide to get married, I'm gonna get married end of this year, is that I accept this person as he is already. Like, I don't plan to change anything. I don't plan to fix him. And so that's the thing. Like, when you decide to engage with someone, don't expect that they're going to change their thoughts, their habits, their values around money. Because for me, I already accept that however he is, that's who he's gonna be when we get married. Getting married or getting engaged is not like the cure-all or the magic formula for someone to change. I believe that when you get married or get engaged, that only amplifies the values that they already have, the habits that has been inculcated in them. And yes, of course, everyone has an opportunity to, like, you know, evolve and change. But as a partner, I don't put that upon myself to change the person. An example with my fiance is that I know that he's good with saving. He has his own methods that I don't agree with, and we laugh about it. But for me, it's fine, because as long as that he's been consistently like putting aside money, and we've started also having our own joint savings account even before we got engaged, really. And when it comes to our love languages, that also translates to our financial habits or our purchases. So for him, I realized that one of his love languages is really like giving material things. And as you guys know, in this channel, I'm not a very like a tangible person when it comes to like gifts. Like for him, having hobbies is buying certain things that he enjoys, because that is his hard-earned money. And so I let him be with that. For me, that's totally okay, as long as we have this common denominator that we set aside savings every month anyway, and we have our own money to spend on what we want. Like for example, I told him that I spent 150,000 pesos on a course and group coaching. He's like, what? Like, what? How? Like he doesn't fully grasp or understand it, and that's okay, because it's my money as well. It doesn't really compromise, or it doesn't really make any sacrifice to the joint savings that we already have. And we've kind of reached that point that, in terms of being financially compatible, we meet halfway on what we need to meet, like in terms to meet our needs as a couple. But in terms of our individual needs, then we let that be, because it's also like we earn our own hard-earned money. And it's really important to think about, like, have you sat down together and talked about finances? So like even with one of my clients, because after going through the program, she decided to take that initiative to really sit down with her future husband and to really make sure that they don't get surprised with unexpected expenses. They don't get, surprised with financial things or things that they need to spend on when they're already living together. For you to really discuss what would be the arrangements when it comes to the delegation of expenses, how are you going to work as a team? These are my individual needs. These are the things that I spend for, and also how can we also work as a couple and have joint savings for our future, for other leisure activities that we want to indulge in. Really, for me, I realized that if I didn't free myself from my impulsive buying habits and my shopaholic tendencies, I feel like I wouldn't have come to the realization that I wanted to get married, because I didn't want to pass that trait along with us. I think I really see now how this person really fits into my life, and I would want us to journey that next chapter together. By the way, stay tuned till the very end, where I share the most important thing to consider that will save you a lot of money for your wedding. Second question to ask is, do you have a savings plan for your wedding and your living arrangement? So I did ask on Instagram, like, what are the questions that you guys are curious about when it comes to planning a wedding? And one of you guys said is like, how do you manage wedding finances? And definitely, it's a big one, okay? Like, I remember when I was telling my parents about, grabe, ito, expense for this, expense for that. Like, the church in itself was like, how much is it? Like 20,000 to reserve and like make sure that you secure a slot for your wedding date. And it used to be so much different, the expenses back in the day when our parents got married. And so it's really not a joke. And to be honest, even having a wedding planner and wedding coordinator can be quite expensive. So I do want to share with you guys that for my wedding, I'm actually doing a DIY intimate wedding, and I'm totally okay with that. For some of my clients, they want to make sure that they have a wedding coordinator, wedding planner. So it's really different per person. What matters is that your savings are in line with a plan, rather than like parang basta I really want this, bahala na where I'm gonna get the money. Like, I think that's where the financial stress will really come in, when in your mind para kang may algorithms sa utak mo trying to connect the dots, like where are you going to get that X amount of money for event styling, for a wedding planner, and all of that. And so for me, honestly, this is my rule, and this is also how I ask my clients, is there a way for you not to be stressed about this? What would make this easier for you? What are you making it harder than it needs to be? Because most of the time, we are the ones putting the stress on ourselves financially when it comes to having our wedding, or thinking about what are we going to do after the wedding. This is what has helped me in coaching my clients who are planning for their own wedding and married life, is that before you even hire a wedding planner or even reserving a date for your wedding, please be clear first on the budgets and saving targets that you have, and that will be used as a reference for your wedding date. Not because like, oh, this is a cute number, or this is like the number that is related to us as a couple. Like, that's well and good, that's great, but also make sure that the numbers, like the savings, the money, is really aligned to that wedding date. Like for me and my fiance, like we put a date based on, okay, like our savings will really make sure that we'll be able to cover all of the expenses for our wedding and also our living arrangements after the wedding in such a way that we are not pressured na kailangan may 1,000,000 kami for a wedding. For example, if your partner has debts to pay for, acknowledge that that's also going to be with you when you get married. So how would you like your timeline to be? Would you want to respect your partner to fully pay off his or her debts first before you decide to get married, so that you feel more at ease financially, that you do have a clean slate? And this is what I love seeing my clients with, is that when they start planning for their wedding, they decided na I want to clear off my payables, clear off my debts first, so that I'm really getting into married life. By the way, if you're curious to learn more about how my coaching program works, you can check the link below and feel inspired with all the success stories of my clients who have funded their dreams. So you can check it out to learn how my coaching program works for your dreams. This is something that I'm so glad that my clients are coming to me for. You know, it's not anymore like my first priority is getting a wedding planner. My first priority is how do I make sure that I heal my relationship with money first, so that I don't bring this anymore when I get married. And for me, that is a beautiful thing to see, because now we are creating healthier relationships with our loved ones, not just because they see us as someone who is leading by example. Third most important and crucial question to ask yourself every time you spend on something is, are you spending out of pressure or priority? And honestly, this one you could apply to every single thing that you do, but especially when it comes to planning your wedding and you know how you plan to live after your wedding, because you'd be surprised that sometimes the biggest expenses, the unexpected expenses that they say, is because you're pressured to keep up with, oh, my colleagues had this like amazing wedding in a hotel or in this really nice place, I want to do that as well because that's the standard if I have this profession. Or I'm pressured because my parents said that I need to have my wedding agad and they want it to be like filled with all of the relatives that they want to be there. And so you put this like stress on yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, my guesses is increasing and I feel like it's out of my control. And you just see all of your money like flying away because you're just filled with so much pressure. And if really get to the root of this is really getting deep into like, am I doing this because I want to, because I want to have this in my wedding, or am I pressured to just keep up with how a wedding should look like? And so for me, this is very important because this allowed me and my fiance to really feel in control with preparing our wedding, you know. And for us, we've decided that the best way to go about it is having an intimate wedding. We're only planning to have 20 packs in our wedding, and we have other plans for the other relatives and the friends that we have. We're going to have a separate celebration with them, and I could go deep into this in a future video once I really have all the plans in place and really share with you exact cost and details. So comment below with like a bride or like a groom emoji if you are interested to learn more about that. And also, I want to know if you made it this far in the video, so comment below with that emoji to let me know that you're here in this video and that you're interested in learning more about how I'm planning my intimate wedding DIY. So it's really important to sit down as a couple on what your priorities are with your wedding, because if you don't set them up front, everyone else will tell you how a wedding should be like, how you should spend on a wedding. You know, if you're comfortable with spending 1 million, 2 million on a dream wedding because that's how you want it to be, like you really want the best event styling, you really want to have the best flowers for your bride and things like that, perfect, that's okay. Like I have a friend who's getting married soon, and he wanted to consult me with like how he's planning his targets for his savings, the budget for his wedding and all of that. And for him, like it's really a huge priority for them because they have a lot of friends that they want to celebrate with them, and they've been a huge part of their relationship. And so for them, having a bigger budget to have their dream wedding is perfect, you know, because they really want to prioritize it. And you know, their living arrangements after that, they don't need to immediately like rent a place or like, you know, immediately pay for the turnover fees for their condo. So they would be able to still have that buffer, you know, after their wedding to save up more. That's why they're okay with having a bigger budget for their wedding. And that's exactly why you should declare your priorities and every wedding should be very, very personalized to the needs and goals of the couple. Like, I also, like, one of my clients naman, like, she felt so pressured because at first she's like, oh my gosh, kailangan daw yung budget mo is like 1.5 to 2 million. Yeah, like, there are weddings like that. You can have wedding like that. But then sabi ko, how do you feel about that budget? And then she's like, sobrang nanglalamig ako just looking at that number. I'm like, okay, then who says you have to feel that way about your budget, right? Like, sometimes we think that there are rules set upon us on how a wedding should be, when if we just take our time to pause and ask ourselves, like, is this how I want to spend on my wedding? Is this how I want to feel on my wedding day? Imagine mo, if you do decide to spend that amount that doesn't feel good to you, do you think you're gonna enjoy your wedding day? You might be like, oh my gosh, I have to pay XYZ and the rest of the fees by this. Like, if you're already feeling so nervous and having cold sweats just thinking about the budget for your wedding, that means that you're doing things because you're pressured, okay? I got questions in my Instagram poll about, like, what are the unexpected expenses to prepare? How do you decide who's part of your guest list? And this question gets to answer that, all of that. Whenever you decide on expenses or who's in your guest list, are you doing it out of priority? Gusto mo ba talaga nandun siya? Gusto mo ba talaga you spend on this? Is it really a priority, or because you're pressured by something else or something external? And all of those things, you get to answer that when you are clear on your priorities and you are clear on what is just a distraction or just an imposed rule upon you that you don't really want. So if you want to know how I would build my savings from scratch, if I were to do it from scratch, you can check out this video on the tactics and mindset work that I would do so that I could save consistently to $500,000 savings. So I'll see you there.